Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. This is Tandy Elisala, your family caregiver coach and cancer empowerment advocate. And I gotta make sure my phone's on silent. And today is day 5 of Oral Head and Neck Cancer Awareness Week. And today I am sharing the 5 biggest ways that family caregivers and friends can help those going through cancer. Okay. The first way that family and friends can help those going through cancer is number 1, to meet them where they're at. So many times I hear from families who say, my hair is just doing all kinds of stuff today. Sorry about that, guys. Oh my God. Anyway, okay. People are saying, like they want to talk to their loved ones, or they want to take them on a vacation. That's a really common theme. And yet the person that might be going through cancer may not want to go anywhere. They might want to just be sleeping. Sometimes they want to talk. Sometimes they don't want to talk. So the important thing is to meet them where they're at. Number 2 is to honor their decisions. Okay? Honor their decisions. This can be a really difficult one for family and friends, because the person that's going through cancer if they have made a decision about what kind of treatment they will or won't have, that can certainly have an impact on the family and friends and those that love this person. In my particular case, honoring my decisions, my family did honor my decisions, but at first I wasn't even going to do any chemo or radiation at all. And my kids really they were like, Mom, please, and so I did, but through one round. And then after that, I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm doing it my way. I'm doing it my way now. And so from that point, then I had asked my family, to please honor my decision. Honor my decision. Because I didn't want to go through another round of chemo and end up on dialysis or needing a kidney transplant. It was already tough enough. So, my kids understood, and they did honor my decision in the end to not continue with traditional treatment. And I know that was huge for them. And it was also, huge for me. I don't regret going through the traditional route first and then the alternative route. And yet it was really important for me that my family honor my decisions. So that's number 2. Number 3, this is big, y'all. And you guys I'm going to say it and you're going to go, well, duh, of course. And it's a lot harder than it seems. And that is number 3, the third biggest way that you can help your friends and family going through cancer is to honor your own self-care needs. Honor your own self-care needs. This is really huge, y'all, because 70% of all family caregivers end up either dying or having significant health issues within 5 years of caregiving. It is a serious detriment when we as caregivers don't take care of ourselves first. When we mistakenly think or feel guilty about taking time for ourselves. And I think sometimes too, self-care can seem like this big thing, like that takes a lot of time, but really self-care happens in moments. It happens in moments. And thanks for the likes, y'all. I appreciate that. It happens in moments. It happens when, and I saw this in a post in a Facebook group, and it was beautiful. This woman said, I was pouring my dad's cereal, and I realized in that moment that I was truly being of service. And what she chose to do in that moment was to take a deep breath and say, that's a form of self-care. That's a form of self-care. What I used to do, it literally would take 20 minutes to get from our front door to our car. And it wasn't because of the long walk. It was because of all my parents, the wheelchairs, the paraphernalia, the oxygen machines, and, and the slowness with which they walked or rode. And at first I got impatient, and then I took it as an opportunity to really embrace and use it as self-care time. And here's how I did that. As I was rolling my mom with her wheelchair, every single step I took, like my right foot in front, I took a deep breath in, and I looked at a piece of nature outside, right? I looked at my tree in the front yard, or I looked at the birds, or I looked at a bee, or I looked at the flowers. It was always something I was looking at. And I would literally give thanks for that thing. And I would take a deep breath in and just honor and acknowledge that nature is so beautiful. So by the time we got to the car, I had already done like a walking meditation, So that is self-care. When I would feed my family, instead of looking at it as something, a chore or something to do, I looked at it as self-care, because I would feed them and I would fuel myself too. And I would sit and actually take time to have conversations with my family. That's self-care. Self-care can look different for different people, but I'm just sharing with you some simple ways and different ways to look at self-care. It can truly just be a breath. 5 deep breaths in and out, in through the nose, out through the mouth, and that can really help. Honoring your self-care needs is critical if you are going to be a long-term caregiver, okay? All right, the 4th biggest thing that you can do for cancer patients is to exercise patience and compassion. Exercise patience and compassion. My son was 19 when I was going through treatment, and he was a shining example of patience and compassion. I would literally take sometimes 30 minutes to get up 3 flights of stairs. And every time I would need to stop at whatever stopping point and I would need to rest, he would rub my back and he would just say, "It's okay, Mama. It's okay. I got you. I got you. It's all right." And he was always carrying everything, and he would sit with me and he would just be patient. Never once, not once, was my young adult son, or my daughters for that matter, ever impatient with me, ever. They were very compassionate, and that really helped. It really helped as I was going through treatment. I see too often families being impatient and yelling at their loved one. I have a very dear friend who does that, who yells at her brother and says mean things to him and says, you're all kinds of things. And I remind her, that when the time comes for him to pass, if he passes before she does, she's going to feel really horrible if those mean things were the last things that she said to him. she has zero patience for him, and it's really a toxic thing. So exercising patience and compassion is really, really huge. And the fifth thing, there's so many ways that you can be, helpful in helping those going through cancer. But the fifth thing is being their advocate. And that might seem obvious, but I'm going to take a different twist on this. And that is, when you have someone who is going through cancer, they, whether they admit it or not, they are thinking about what that might mean for them. They're thinking about dying. They're thinking about what if. They're thinking about their life and their regrets and their dreams. Last night I was watching Grey's Anatomy. Any Grey's Anatomy fans in the house? I was watching Grey's Anatomy, and there was this young teenage girl, and the doctors were trying everything, from a medical perspective, conventional medicine, to help her. And this young, beautiful girl, she knew she was dying. She knew she was dying, and that the treatment wasn't helping, and she wasn't feeling well, and she wanted to go travel. She wanted to go visit some places, and so her mom was her advocate, and her mom said, "We've tried it your way. I'm now doing it what she wants, and this is what she wants." And I'll never forget, and I mean, obviously it was a TV show, but the look in this girl's eyes when she had tears in her eyes, and she smiled at one of the doctors and saying, "Pass along my thanks." And you could see in her eyes that she knew she was dying. Yet her mother was her advocate, and her mother said, "Okay, enough. We're doing this her way." And that takes a lot of courage. That takes a lot of courage, And another aspect of advocacy is to have the conversations of the heart. A lot of times people think about legacy as an advocacy as, and can also help people be at peace. This is one of the things that I am most grateful for the opportunity and the blessing to take care of my parents. I just intuitively knew to ask my parents questions, and particularly my dad, who was always in his head. And I helped him go from his head to his heart. He shared things with me that he never shared with my mom. He shared things with me that were so deeply personal. And I got to know my parents for the man and woman they were beyond the role of mom and dad. That was priceless. And by me having those conversations of the heart, and in asking them questions and bringing that out, I help them live with dignity and grace, and I help them die with peace. That has been my greatest joy and calling up to this point in my life. Having and raising my 3 beautiful kids obviously is up there, but there's nothing like helping loved ones navigate those conversations of the heart, helping to understand and see them for the people they are beyond the role that they play. And that was so healing on so many levels. So being their advocate from a practical perspective, as well as kind of the keepers of the legacy, the keepers of the legacy. It's a really important role that you play as a family caregiver. I hope that these 5 tips have made sense. So we talked about meeting them where they're at. We talked about honoring their decisions. We talked about honoring your own self-care needs. We talked about exercising patience and compassion. And we talked about your important role as an advocate and legacy holder. I am going to go live tomorrow, and I'm going to talk tomorrow, the last day of this week's series. I'm going to chat about 2 years post-treatment. Here are the symptoms I still have and how I'm managing that. And so if you have anybody, know of anybody who has gone through cancer treatments and is still experiencing some symptoms or even new symptoms that have come up, that'll be a great one to tune in for, because you'll get hope, you'll get some feedback on how to manage those symptoms, and know that you're not alone. So I hope that this has been helpful. Thank you so much for joining us, Laurel, Nanny Bell, Teresa, Timothy, hey Tim, Debbie, and Christy, and Grace. All right. Mwah. Have a fabulous weekend, and I will be back tomorrow, our last day, to chat about my 2 years post-treatment symptoms and what I do about it. All right. Take care.